Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How's it going, Steve?
Doing pretty good this morning.
Or is it Bill and Ted?
Who would be Bill and who would be Ted?
I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with it.
Really? You don't know Bill S. Esquire and
I do.
Ted Theodore Logan? Or
I do, but it's been a long time. I'm a little more familiar with Wayne's World.
I wish you would have said Bogus Journey, because I like part 2 just because I like death. Like the character, they end up having to battle it out with death to escape from wherever they're entrapped. And they keep beating him, and he keeps going from, 1 game to 3 out of 5, 5 out of 7. Anyway, that's my kind of humor.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with Wayne's World.
I like Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
I'm probably more like Garth because I sit here the whole time shaking my head.
So did you get more stuff planted yesterday?
I absolutely did not.
Oh, okay.
I got nothing planted at all. My potatoes are probably shot. I don't know, because I cut them up. It's been 2 days now. But we'll see. I'm going to plant them as soon as we get off the show. I'm going to go in, put on some work clothes, head on out there.
Get it done.
Get it done.
Is most of it planted? Most of the stuff?
No.
Oh.
The tomatoes are just, I have, I think, 80 out of 120 tomato plants planted. And I still got to do the corn. The peas and beans I'm not too worried about because they'll shoot up pretty quick. But I got the summer squash in, so they got all that rain yesterday, the winter squash, the tomatoes. I'll get the potatoes in today, and I'll have it done by the end of today. I'm not coming out of that garden until probably 8:30 tonight. And then tomorrow I'll go work on building the gate and then possibly doing the wire on the inside of the split rail. So by the end of this weekend, it should be done. I say that until my brother calls me up 2 hours from now and is like, let's go do this or something.
You gotta get that, yeah. Be like, we can do it in the garden.
Yeah, he can come over and help me in the garden. Actually, maybe if the girls are still there, Abby will come help me in the garden.
There you go.
Abby and I are we get along pretty well because she's the youngest between her and Tess. And Tess is just like my brother. And Abby's a little bit like me. She's sensitive and loves animals. And, even though I'm going on this elk hunt, there's a part of me that even if there's one within range, I might accidentally shoot to the left of it just because I'm that kind of guy.
Well, let's face it, you might shoot to the left of it because we can't shoot very well, too.
hey, let me just use it because I'm a compassionate man, not because of a poor shot.
You tell yourself whatever, buddy. So, school board meeting last night. A lot of people showed up.
Yeah,
not because of us, though.
No, not because of us. But
I try. That was part of my little speech. I was like, I try to get people to show up like this because the room was packed. But
we get a lot of feedback. When I say we, it's you, because I'm not on social media and you're out and about, and I bet there's probably few people in this town that hadn't heard of you or you haven't heard of them, other than like if they're new or something. But yeah. So you get a lot of feedback, and then it's usually, we had a few show up in support of Lydia. Yeah,
that we did back then. Yeah, it's just trying to get people that care so much about the school to show up. It's hard challenge.
Yeah, it's people, as my brother says, they're just not activists, I guess. And I don't really look at it as an activist. I look at it as being a part of our community.
Yeah,
and even if you disagree with us, come out and let us know, because we say it all the time. We might have our goal is not to end up into echo chamber where, even between you and I, we have slight disagreements on certain things, and we can either agree to disagree, or one of us sometimes will be like, I can see it that way.
Right.
And that's the beauty of participation, because you might see or say something that we haven't thought of. And, some people aren't open-minded enough to realize that you could have been fed a bunch of lies your whole life, or on this topic especially, and there might be a totally different reality that exists outside of what you've been told, because frankly, people put out misinformation and disinformation without even knowing it. And you and I are probably guilty of it too, because, all of our information is coming from the internet. And
Right, it's a source somewhere. It's not
and,
something we
yeah,
physically,
it's not something
especially
that,
national stuff. Yeah, it's
we're not there to physically see it and participate. We're reading and trying to extrapolate what we have based on our experiences figured out. And maybe some people are just like, you know what, that's too much for me. I just want to sit down, relax, have a nice glass of iced tea and a hamburger with my family, and we'll work on making sure that within our own household, at least, what we say is what we, that's our safe space. Whatever Chief made fun of me yesterday, called me a safe space.
yeah, it was funny because when you were talking yesterday about the garden, I was like, when are you planting those poppies?
No, have you not seen there are poppies in the front garden. There's 2 of them that have opened up.
Like heroin poppies?
No,
Or
I mean,
opioid
like
poppies?
we got them from Catherine Gardens last year, and there was only one.
They sell drug plants?
It's not a drug plant.
What is it though? The poppy fields or something?
Yeah, so I mean, it's
Vietnam and then
no, it's World War II.
Afghanistan.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, okay.
You know what I'm talking? You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm thinking from the VFW standpoint because they hand
yes,
poppies on Memorial Day because
Right,
of
right.
the fields of poppies in Europe.
Gotcha.
But yes, allegedly, the CIA goes in and takes control over the drug trade in all these different countries that we invade. Allegedly.
Yeah, I wasn't going that far, but
Oh, well, I mean, there's movies
back
about
you
it,
up.
and just because
There's
there's
a lot of
movies
movies
doesn't mean it's true, right? Because they're
hey, that idea had to come from somewhere.
exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Which I think what else? Rhonda resigned last night,
She did.
so you need a new school board member.
Yeah. So next week they'll put out a list of questions.
Yep.
On the SAU website. I'm sure they'll do it on Facebook too. I don't have Facebook. And then before the next school board meeting, anyone who's interested can answer those questions and show up to the school board meeting and answer some questions. Or
Then you'll have another one till what, July now?
yeah.
Seemed kind of crazy because when she was talking about schedule change, it's like I almost feel like you should have another one this month. You should just add a meeting instead of taking. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't take any away.
Well, we're only required to have 6 a year. You know that, like every 2 months, you're required to have a school board meeting. So we go above and beyond, just like our minutes are above and beyond, because
Right.
they could just be very
But
generalized.
you did authorize the new super, and as well as the current ones that could hire people
Right.
without your approval. Because I'm like,
Well, they send us.
well, yeah, yes, without the meeting
Right.
to actually approve it, they send you the information.
So
I'm
if
sure.
one of us
Yeah.
says, "Oh, wait, I have reservations," or
Then you wouldn't,
I know
yeah.
something, and then they would hold off until
Right.
the next meeting, or
Right, because right now we're trying to obviously hire a bunch of people.
right.
No, but last night we hired an art teacher was one of them, and the other one I wasn't sure what that position was. But so the high school art teacher, middle school, high school is filled.
Can you put me on the spot?
No, I remember that part myself, but I don't remember what the other one was actually for.
I want to say it was an elementary school teacher.
Yeah, actually, it did sound like that. I couldn't believe that one was fine, but because that was like level 10 or something. But there was one person coming in at a level 1, which is like 36,000 a year, or whatever. And I was like doing the math in my head. I know you don't work summers, but that's like probably $16 an hour.
I mean, you work.
And if you take out, I guess if you take out the summer factor,
Well, it's less than that because, and I think that's what. So, like when the community comes up and starts putting, projecting something, a problem, right?
right?
At the end of the day, like I told you, I was talking to my wife's uncle, who was a teacher, retired from New York State, and he said 95% of the teachers are there because they want to be there. They're not there for the money per se. They're there because they have a calling. It's rewarding for them internally, intrinsically, because they're helping and they're role models basically for these kids, and they want them to have a good experience.
Right.
And so the money is not always the driving factor. Now, with our case, money could be a driving factor because we're one of the lowest paid in the state, and so you can go work the next town over and
But
make $6,000 more dollars.
36,000 is like,
It's not a lot, but the point that I'm making is,
Did you?
you said about $16 an hour, but think about the teachers that were not for the prom, right? So not all those teachers are class representatives, so they're not getting any pay, so they're volunteering their time to make a good impact and impression on these kids. And I think at the end of the day, it's reassuring for the teachers whenever they hear the community members come up saying, "Hey, I got an issue with this. I also want to thank you." And I think that's their point is, and for the 2 years that we went as citizens, it wasn't against the teachers, it was against policy.
Right.
And so we were being negative towards policy, not towards particular teachers.
Correct. Absolutely.
And so we didn't caveat with, "Oh, and by the way, thank you for all that you do," right? It was, this policy is affecting my kid's life, and I don't like it, and it shouldn't be enforceable, and why are we doing it? We changed things from the community meeting that we had before school started, and a week or two later, all of a sudden, things have changed since you met with us all in the gym. Like, that was our issue. It was never with teachers.
Correct.
It was, and just like with our rankings in the state that are, readily available in formats online, and it's out there for real estate looky-loos that are trying to find somewhere to live. If they see that, and there's caveats like Ms. Irwin pointed out, that you shouldn't make a judgment off of one data point collection. People do that though.
Right.
Now there might be some highly educated people that are going to go and do what she did, which when the superintendent gave us the website to find that, I don't know, this is before I was on the board, I went and did what Ms. Irwin did, and there's still a downward trend of our tests, which
it's still the same.
Some of it could be answered for COVID policies. Right, because the policies affected the way that our children learn, because not everybody in this town has internet.
Right.
Absolutely. And they point out, we still sent the buses around to deliver meals to kids because there are kids who rely on the free meals that they get at lunch. And that's why, when we looked at it, like, okay, let's help out what we can, and that's why we did what we did with our tutu run. So anyway, the point is that the teachers put in a lot of time, and it's the majority of them, right? You always got somebody who is there for the money or the wrong reasons. Right. There's always going to be in every organization somebody that's a bad apple or whatever you want to call it. And just because you're there for the money doesn't mean you're a bad apple. I'm saying the negative influence on the kids that we don't want. Like, that's going to happen in any organization. You're going to have somebody that you're like, oh wow, pull the wool over our eyes on the interview or your resume. But at the end of the day, I think that it's good for them to hear, hey, we appreciate it. Like, you guys spend a lot of time. You're not getting paid that well, and you're part of the Newport experience, and we appreciate that. And I think that, now you can't say that at every meeting, but when we can acknowledge it. Yeah. And I think the thing that we have seen going and looking at it through different lenses is all the volunteerism that exists and the impact on not necessarily just our kids, but the other kids. When you see how the kids react with certain teachers, or it's impressive. It's impressive with how they influence and impact them. But, again, they're not their parents, and nor should they have to be.
I know. We've had this discussion before. Like, for instance, me and you will get pissed at something that the school tries to do that's a parent's role because they're stepping on our toes. But then on the flip side, we see clear, even more clear now than ever before, was like, well, yeah, but they're doing that because so many of these kids' parents aren't involved. And so then I was like, well, I can kind of see that point too. So it's so hard. It's such a fine line to walk, because with us, it's like, you're pissing me off. That's my role. Stay in your lane. But then, especially, I think in the younger grades even, the lane is wider than it should be, because it has to be.
Got some dash lines. It's not.
It's not like they
no passing
want to have to do this stuff. It's just they have to, and it's crazy.
And they're compassionate, caring people.
Yes.
And so, while for us, we appreciate that, but you don't have to be like that for our kids.
Right. It is.
I mean,
so I can
be
see it too.
And caring, but I'm talking about the policy.
And that's the thing that's changed too. And I think that is important with any topic or anything you talk about, is to go get more involved. Because when you start to get more involved, you see what they go through, and then you kind of start to change your approach. Like, well, maybe it's not the teacher's fault, or it's not this's fault, or it's not. It's more complicated than that.
Like, and some of it is higher up than the school districts. It's
Yes.
DOE,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
just like we're
that's for
trying
sure.
to fight, like at Concord, some of the things I'm sure the administration and the school board disagrees with, but then
They have to-
you risk getting all your funds cut off, and then what
Right.
do you do?
Yeah, it all seems to come to funding, doesn't it?
It's everything
all
is
funding,
tied to funding,
yeah.
and not just in the school, but in
Right,
everything,
right.
all facets of our life. They tie one hand behind your back.
Yeah, it's so true. Today, of course, the time this gets on, it'll be too late, but we'll still talk about it. But they've got the CTE design teams coming in between
That's it.
11:30 and 12:30. They try to do it so that some people maybe on their lunch break could just have some input. And it sounds like there's going to be a lot of input from students and stuff about what they want the design to look like and all that stuff. So that's
Well, maybe I'll
awesome.
run up there and at least.
Run out of the garden for that.
Because I'm on the committee, so maybe I'll
You
run
are.
up there and do a glad handshake, be there for that hour. I mean, I can take
should.
an hour break. Yeah.
You have to do that. Yeah.
Thanks for I mean, it's on
You're
my
welcome.
it's on my alarm, so it would have gone off here in about an hour and 15
And you'll be
minutes.
like, what the hell is this for? Oh yeah. No, that was cool. That was a
I have to put everything on the calendar because you have me
Oh.
so busy. Like I have, and then when I got my new phone, some things dropped off of it. Yeah, that always happens. Not everything, but some things. And so then I'm like, wait, I think I have something today. Like, I have a pretty good memory like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
talking about myself here. Most interesting topic in the world to me.
You're definitely Bill. I'll be Ted. Yeah. So that was she. So Ms. Opolinsky had a presentation last night. It was pretty good about just the CTE and some stuff going on. Some good numbers there. Obviously, some things to improve, but I think CTE is probably one of the most. If we didn't have CTE, I think our school would be a disaster. Honestly, overall for the high school, I think CTE is such a blessing.
Well, it gives
for our,
them so many different opportunities.
Yes,
and then
huge,
they can
huge
go
opportunities.
Just about right into the workforce or become an
Yeah.
apprentice or.
I mean, you had your
it's
EMTs.
entry level, but
Yeah, but your EMTs 100% passing rate. Monday, the ASC, which is certifications for automotive, kids are going to be doing that test. So there's all these opportunities. Bremco came in to teach kids welding with a mirror, which is
Zeta
impressive.
has mentioned probably about 5 times over the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 months that she wishes she would have taken welding. But she,
That would be fun to
Miss,
do, yes.
I think it's Miss Wells is the
Yes,
welding, and
yes.
she said she is just awesome. She's not only an awesome teacher, but she's just an awesome person to be around. Like she's
Right.
really, it made an impression on Zeta, and she wasn't even her student. Just knowing the things and the programs that she's put in place for the students.
Yeah.
She really regrets not taking that. I do too, because I got some stuff she could weld here for me.
Well, Danielle was upset too. She was having her last day of robotics, so she'll be a senior next year, and like there's no other level. Like she's maxed out. She's like, I'm super sad because I wish I could keep going with it. And so obviously that's another
Well,
program.
maybe they'll do
that's
a robotics club.
something.
Well, they got that
That's something.
donation for robotics, but I think that was,
That was
for
middle school.
But
But that's something.
but
put
you
that
build
your-
on that, right? So if you do
Yes.
a robotics program at middle school, it only makes sense that those
They should
kids,
do a
if
robotics
they
club.
get
That's
a
a good idea.
passion and a hunger for it, they should want to continue it when they get to high school.
You have to write this down. Robotics club. We met you've met her before, but we met the interim super last night.
Miss Donna Magoon.
Yeah, I'm excited. I feel like she looks like a no nonsense, dedicated, going to get this job done kind of person, and that's what I'm looking for personally. Is someone that's going to get it
She's at
done.
Milford now, but she
Yeah.
was at Claremont for years before that, so she knows the area.
Chief said that she was really good. He didn't know her like super personally, but he'd heard lots of good things, and so very excited about that.
Yeah, he says her personality will fit our town nicely.
Yep, and he knows because he fits our town so nicely. So I love my favorite part of the whole thing yesterday is when he's like, "Nope, you think you're going to go soft on fifth grade playing kickball? Full send."
Full send, and that he understands the value of winners and losers because you got
Yes.
to learn how to win with grace and lose with grace
Absolutely.
because life is not a win followed after a win after a win. You have to be able to take a loss, and then that builds resilience.
And how you get
can
through that
handle
loss is the most important thing. Is and honestly, and how you act when you win too, because if you act like a jackwagon when you're winning, people aren't. No one likes that. Like, be humble.
Yeah, don't act like the LA Dodgers.
No.
They remind me of not winning with class.
Yeah,
I was so glad that the Cheechstros beat them in the World Series.
Last night was high school awards for the sports awards.
Sports awards.
Looks like they had a good turn on that. The only thing I did see is Lexi Durgan won the coaches award for softball, and just shout out to them. And then obviously another thing to mention is
Zeta got a coaches award for track.
Did she?
Yeah.
See, you bring it. Look.
I mean, she didn't make the playoffs, but I think the fact that she was a senior on the team, and I mean, she was voted most school spirit by the class. So
nice.
That positive influence.
Yeah.
I'd like to think, bragging on my own daughter a little bit.
You should brag on your own daughter, absolutely. And then tonight is, I just know this because Rachel invited us to go. So it's 8th grade graduation, which I never remember them doing that in the past. So I don't know if it's a new thing. None of my kids did it, so I don't know. But I think that's awesome because
we did it when I was in 8th grade.
A lot of
in
schools,
Texas.
a lot of schools do it, but I don't ever remember Newport doing it in the past. So I think that's great.
Of just a few generations back, that's about all they would get is about an 8th grade education, and it was time to work.
That's true.
That's only, my granny, I'm pretty sure, had an 8th grade education, and then that was it.
Yeah. Oh.
And she was working in the cotton fields when she was 5 years old. I mean, we come from a long line of hard workers. People can't forget that. Like, life wasn't handed to our.
This country's still very young, and it was based on a lot of hard work.
Everything is built on hard work. You can't just sit around and talk about it like we are here. Like, the next thing you got to do is when this is over, we go out and we try to do things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard work, just planting your own garden, much less a gigantic field of cotton.
This is the easiest part of our day, and we still, usually when we're done with it, like, man, wish we did more, we should do that, and trying to fit it in with the rest of the fun things. I have to go dig a sewer pipe after this, and yeah. So are you
going to come by and check out the CTE 11:30 to 12:30? Probably not.
No.
I mean, you got to actually work. I understand. But she said they would reschedule for those who can't get off. She said they would try to do it again last night.
I have a meeting with Martin at 1, so I'll get to school at that point. But luckily, I'm working across the street. But we'll see. Depends when my brother's at with the whole thing. But and another thing I almost forgot about, I want to make sure I mention. Not that anyone would be going because it's in Connecticut, but this weekend, Maddox Loving, Kyle Ashley, who are our 2 Newport students, are going to the 75th Annual New England Outdoor Track and Field Championships, which is in New Britain, Connecticut, which is a huge accomplishment from someone from our school. Yeah. So good luck to you two. Make us proud. You've already made us proud. No matter how well you do down there, the fact that you made it's a huge accomplishment. And so that was something I mentioned last night. And really, once we started doing the show, it's so easy to find positive stories about Newport. How often do we talk about something negative about Newport? It's extremely rare, right?
Yeah.
Because
the last thing we talked about negative was the Maple Street paving.
Right, and that was just a pothole thing, and that was. But then they paved it, which turned out positive, and because that's what we focus on is right. We got to find positive things in our community. And yeah, when we have negative things like, school rating, okay, well, let's talk about how we can fix it or whatever. But for the most part, we want to celebrate our students, our citizens that are out there, giving it their all, make our community better.
And these 2 students have done that.
And these 2 students for sure have done it. And we're just very fortunate in Newport. This is why I love Newport. I don't believe there's any other town like Newport that we always come together. We always, even ask Chief, he's from Claremont. He's like, man, come to Newport, and they never say no. It's just, yep, I do whatever I want to do. Yep, we'll do it.
Yeah,
that's Newport, man. You always get a yes. How do we make it work?
We'll
figure it out.
Keep that up too.
We do.
Have a bunch of no people taking over.
No, that's for sure. And then once again, this will be the last time I have to mention it. Sunday at 5 for all football players, grade 3 through 12. They're having a meeting at the field, at the high school field. to go over preseason, camp, start dates, all that kind of stuff. So if your student is playing football this fall, this should be a good time to go and check that out. And they usually do, the rec center does like boot camps before, and it's just more stuff the rec does that, is not associated with the school, but at the same time it is, So and obviously we'll talk about all that stuff as things, come around. The other thing I found, which I think is extremely cool, was on Facebook. Yes, I think it was last night, and I found this picture. When I say I found it, it was in the timeline. I didn't look for it. This, Steve, and I'm putting it up on the screen, is the Opera House, like 135 years ago.
Wow.
And that is the coolest picture. I wish it looked just like that today, to be honest with you, because I think that is awesome. Like, that really is like a late 1800s. Like, I kind of could see, like, a president standing there, and you know what I'm saying? It's got that whole
It's very
feel.
regal looking.
Yes. So when
It looks regal.
yeah, the Opera House shared that, and I was like, man, that's awesome. So I wanted to share that with everybody as well. And then I saw a shout out to the Newport PD for some of their officers came up to the to speak with this lady's criminal justice students at the Granite Hill School yesterday. So wanted to just put that out on the show. And then we talked to Chief last week about this, and we broke the news on the show, and then we talked about it yesterday just for a brief minute. But remind everybody that this coming Thursday, the 16th, at 5:30 at the Opera House is going to be the active shooter presentation, I guess you called it.
Well, you said it's not just about active
No,
shooters, but it's to go over the mentality, the response that you get in tough situations.
Well, let me just read the press release. How's that?
Oh, okay.
Maybe I
That
can
works.
actually read it today. In response to the active shooter tragedies that have occurred across the country recently, the Newport Police Department and the Newport School District are presenting a program aimed at helping residents respond during such events. The program is 5:30 Thursday, June 16th at the Opera House. This presentation focuses on 3 stages of response that a person could experience during an active threat situation. So denial, deliberation, and decision moment. Research has proven time and again that people who survive these types of events go through 3 stages quicker and make better decisions because they have prepared beforehand. Best way to enhance our collective preparedness is through a community approach and coming together in the wake of these tragedies, and can only make us stronger and more unified, which absolutely. So we talked about going to that, checking that out. I think that will be a good, I think with just everything going on in the country, the world, whatever, I think it's probably a good thing. Like he said, these stressors come in anything, plane crash, a big car accident, so it's not just an active shooter thing, but it's something that how we handle that stress, and then how we handle it is how we get through it. So the more prepared you are, the better chance to get through it if you're, caught in the middle of something like that. So shout out to the PD and the school for saying, hey, I think this is something we need to do. And so, yeah, next Thursday. Next weekend is Brewfest, and also is the Mural Festival, which is on Cronus Market, and then on the gym is those murals. It's all going on at the same time. And at the end of the show, I've been putting up the slides of the kind of upcoming things so people can see them. And Brewfest usually, I think it's at $40 a person. Basically, there's all these little microbreweries and nanobreweries that come, and you go around and test their product. And obviously, you have to be 21 because it's drinking.
Designated driver.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure they have. Yeah, it's always
just want to
good.
be safe.
Yeah. They have like little samples of everything. You test it, and I've always heard really good things about it. And I've never gone because I'm just not a beer drinker. Like when I had the market, I kind of learned a lot about these things just from what people said, what people like. I kind of got a feel for
These
it. But
days and ages, it's all IPAs, and I can't stand IPA.
I know there's a lot of IPAs and a lot of different types of beers. And
I mean, you go to the gas station, you get an IPA or Switchback, and Switchback is good, but then it makes you a little gassy.
Yeah, I just can't. I guess I'm lucky, and then maybe not. I don't know. I just don't like beer. I never have liked it. Most of it, I think, especially the microbrewery stuff, tastes like grapefruit.
Well, it's the IPA.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm on IPA.
Monday, 6 o'clock, car nuts. We'll be there. But didn't you have something going on too?
Yeah, Monday morning.
Oh, okay.
There's stuff going on for the construction manager. School board duties.
Okay.
10 to 3, I think, basically. I'll be out of pocket.
Yeah. So we'll have to do the show early and then go to the car nuts after. You're going to be busy on Monday. Just saying. Trying to get the girls to come down too. We got our wireless mic this time, so no cords. And now I know how to use the microphone, so that will actually come out better. And yeah. This Sunday starts the 99th annual Laconia Bike Week, Motorcycle Week. I'll say that for you. Bike Week for most people that know what I'm talking about. And then tomorrow, actually, we have so LFDR, which is the club I'm in, is doing a memorial ride for Mike Walsh, who passed away over the winter. He had COVID, and yeah, he was one of our brothers in our bike club. He's a good guy, and he's young too. He wasn't an old timer. He was a younger guy, and so anyways, doing a memorial ride. So it starts at T-Bird. Kickstands up are at 10:30 tomorrow morning at T-Bird over there in Guile. They're on the Sunapee line. Between 9 and 10, it's $25 a rider. It ends at the Foresters in Newport, where they're doing like a celebration of life, and there'll be food and stuff like that. So if you have a motorcycle and you want to get out and ride tomorrow, and it's supposed to be nice out, swing in, see us, and or if you want more details, you can reach out to me too. But yeah, it's one of these bike rides we're putting on, and it's going to benefit his wife that had been widowed, unfortunately. So yeah, so that's tomorrow. I'm trying to think what else. So one last like local thing that I saw, and I actually saw it on Facebook, and I saw it on actually Channel 9, which is pretty cool, was Sgt Tyler Petran, who's a Claremont police officer, and he's out last night at graduation handling traffic. And while he was doing so, he was also helping a young man tie his tie. It's because he didn't know how to tie a tie. And so there's a video, and it's actually on Channel 9 WMUR News, which I thought was pretty cool, which is a nice little positive. Like, so here's this guy doing his job like ours, he's directing traffic, doing his thing, and then helping a kid tie a tie. And I think that's great, and I think that really says a lot about our community, and I consider Claremont our community too. This area that we live in, we're so blessed with so many positive people. Fire, police.
Sunapee?
Do I consider Sunapee our community? To a degree. I look at Sunapee different. Like, my parents live in Sunapee. Like, my little brother lives in Sunapee. Like, I feel like Claremont and us are very similar.
Yeah.
Socioeconomically. But if Sunapee needed something, like if something was to happen and they needed something,
yeah, definitely.
We'd always rise up. But I've always looked at Claremont more like that. Like when I was in school, it was a big rivalry. Like a little bit before me, like Newport and Claremont used to fight all the time. Like it was.
Well, even freshman year for the girls, just 4 years ago, it was pretty.
It's always been this thing. But whenever I sat in Claremont at any sort of sports game, I've always felt the same thing. Like, it's still just our community. You know what I'm saying? Like, I consider almost not all Sullivan County, but like just definitely Claremont. Like, it's our community. We kind of all have that same mindset. Like, we're in it for our kids, we're in it for our communities, and so I just thought that was an awesome thing. And Chiefs from Claremont, and it's yeah. And the only other couple things, but I have the meme of the day, which this is the meme of the day that I chose. It says, "Oh, you don't need to fight them. You just need to convince the pitchfork people that the torch people want to take away their pitchforks." And it fits so much to today. Like, in our country, especially, we just see if it's not a race thing, it's a left or right thing, or it's this or it's just already something, and it's just perfect. The castle's about to be overtaken, and All you have to do is convince one group that the other group's trying to do something to them, and they'll fight amongst themselves instead of the objective, which in this meme was like, hey, we're going to raid the castle because we're not happy. And that fits to to a T about our country. Like, we need to stop focusing on the things that make us different, and we need to start focusing on the things that make us the same. And we need to start focusing on what's really happening and make that change. Because literally this stupid little meme is literally our life right now. And we have to...
we talk about it every once in a while. Like, that's why I'm like, it's not Democrat, Republican. It's us as a society coming together and remembering what this country and why we have it as good as we do, which is people like our grandparents and great-grandparents working hard. My family has a long-running history of being in the military and fighting for this country.
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know what I mean? So it's special and important to me, and so that's why I'm so passionate about, defending the Constitution, not only because I serve, but it's part of my family's legacy, is we've been fighting for this way of life since my dad can follow it all the way back in the genealogy. That's what he's done since he retired. And so for me personally, blood has been shed for this country and my own family. And my grandpa lied so he could go fight in World War II about his age. He was 16 when he joined. Those kinds of things, like,
it's funny because
mean more to me than, like, I got it. You don't want us to have certain types of weapons or any weapons, but in my eyes, you're misguided. Look at our history. It's required.
Look at history in general.
Well, but just focusing on American history, that's what's made us free and given us what we have, and we can't forget that. Yeah, we can tighten some stuff up and help some people and make sure that it's not abused, because anything can be abused. But I mean, we live in the greatest country in the world, and it's rapidly declining into decay.
Yeah, and people out there preaching to young kids that this isn't the greatest country in the world. And
it is. It might not be. Like, we have some warts, and it's not just.
But if
slavery,
our country wasn't so great, why do you think all these millions of people that have flooded across the border in the last couple of years why do you think they come here? You're not going to go to a crappy country. Like, me and you aren't going to go and like, hey, you know what?
Let's go to Libya.
Yeah, let's go to Libya. I want to, like, desperately go to Libya, because no, that's not what you would do.
Right.
You would say, I want to go to the United States because that's
an opportunity.
Opportunity. The American dream.
The Great Plains, wide open.
Yeah.
You get your own plot of land.
Yeah. You have hope in America. You can do things. And that used to be...
We can't forget that. And they're trying to make us think that there's no hope. And there's hope.
Yeah.
There's greatness here, and it's in our work ethic. So we've got to get people back out there.
Yeah. You have to work hard for everything you want.
Yeah, I'm not saying, go take a job you're not happy with. You might have to do that for a little while to get up on your feet and save your money. Don't worry about what the Joneses have next door to you.
Yeah. It doesn't really...
Like, I desperately want a tractor, but I also have a budget, and that's not in my budget for a while. And luckily,
it would have been if
I'm using you for your tractor. Now that the garden's plowed, I don't even know why we're doing this show anymore.
Now the truth comes out. Chief and your brother trying to take over the show, and you're just doing it for the tractor.
Never.
I just put this thing on here. I left it on here from yesterday, and because I saw a story last night about this, and basically the Olympic gymnasts that are suing the FBI for $1 billion, allegedly mishandling the Larry Nassar sexual assault claims. And I mean, I dare say that they allegedly couldn't come out of that statement very true, because the lady that mishandled the FBI agent, they didn't even charge her with nothing. So the FBI, once again, could have stopped something bad from happening and has failed to. So I hope they win this lawsuit. I've so had it for the FBI. So done with
them.
And
I know people are in the FBI. I mean, I don't know them now, but I know them. I knew them in an earlier part of my life, and I don't think that they're particularly the kind of people that is representative with the stories that we keep hearing about how the FBI is letting things go. So I don't
They're
understand.
like the KGB. They really are like the KGB.
There's segments of it are.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, and so the reputation goes to the whole thing. But I know there are good people in the FBI.
Oh, sure. There's some good people, but there's a lot of bad apples that are, and I'm sure there are like the higher ranking because the decisions that are made are towards the top, right?
You just got to infiltrate the upper echelons, and then you can manipulate things.
Yeah, which is obviously what's happening. But all these girls that were sexually assaulted by this loser.
Yeah, that should make everybody angry.
Yeah, it should.
Like that FBI agent, if what is said about her is true, like she should have no friends. Like she should be a pariah
She didn't
on
lose
all
her
of
job.
society. Like who would want to work with her? Like you're a failure. You failed at your job, unintentionally or intentionally, whatever it is, allegedly. And why, like you see these journalists that make up stories that end up having to correct them. I'm like they're totally made up. Like it's like me and you talking, and we make something up. You cite me, I cite you. And it's like, we shouldn't have any friends if we do that. Like, everybody should be like, you're losers. Like, why are you so sloppy with your work?
Yeah. No, it's...
Or they should be like, hey, why are you so sloppy with your work? You need to fix this. And if they don't have the integrity to fix it, I guess that would be the follow-on, right? So if you're that sloppy and you don't have the integrity to fix it, then you shouldn't have any friends. If we're called out on something that we're totally wrong about and we don't acknowledge it, like, we should have nobody. Like, people should be like, you guys, you're not welcome around here anymore. Like, that FBI agent, if these allegations are true, should have no friends. No one should want to work with her. And she shouldn't have a job. She should be bankrupt looking for a place to use the restroom on the streets of L.A. That's the kind of people that need to be homeless and destitute.
Yeah, it's...
Not people who made bad investment decisions and everything else. Like, people who don't do their job properly and then result in all of those. I have no patience, especially when it comes to hurting a child. Yeah. I have no sympathy for you. You deserve the worst. Even Jesus said, throw them, you'd be lucky to have a millstone thrown around. I'm paraphrasing. But, toss them into the river with a millstone around their neck for hurting the little ones.
Yeah.
I have no patience for it. I'm not saying to do that to this FBI agent, but I'm saying make her a pariah and no one should even communicate with her.
Yeah.
I'm not working with her.
What gets me is like, how many times have you heard the FBI, this person was on their watch list, and then they went and shot up something. This person was this.
Yeah, those people should quit their jobs. If they were the ones tracking these and they got that phone call and said, hey, this guy's made a threat of this, that, or the other, and then they follow on with that threat and you didn't do anything about it, you should resign. You should be like, I failed and I'm a failure. Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's, in my personal opinion, it's time to dissolve the FBI and put that money that they're using into local state government, like state police or a group that's within your state, which, like for us, state police is the group that overlooks all the state stuff like that. And because then the control list goes back to the states. It's a smaller organization, which is harder to corrupt because now you have 50 of them, right? Every state would have its own thing. I just, some people might think that's crazy, but if you honestly look at what has the FBI done for you, like all these mass shootings, it's like almost every one of them, the person was on their watch list. This guy in Buffalo, like literally they knew all about this dude before it even happened, and 30 minutes before it happened, like, hey, I'm headed here now, and they knew about it. So like, how do you not draw the line? Like, well, if they knew about it.
The people that knew about it should be fired and should have no friends.
They should be tried for accessories. Like, you knew about this.
Accessory after the fact or whatever.
Yeah, like.
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
I mean, you walk into Capitol on January 6th, you're a domestic terrorist and you're going to jail and blah, blah, blah. But if you know about some guy that's going to go shoot up a freaking supermarket, well, that's okay.
You don't even have to walk into the Capitol.
No, you just have to be apparently around it.
You just got to be near it, there to support. And even if it was mis or disinformation, so now you're going to punish them for showing. And they didn't even go into the Capitol. I'm talking about the guy running against the governor of Michigan who wouldn't allow her citizens to buy seeds during COVID, but they could go buy beer.
Oh, so the one the FBI just arrested for his involvement in January 6th because he was there.
Yeah.
I thought this was a free country and they could go places. And first of all, the only thing they said, and this was said before for some different judges too, that the only thing that could get any of these people on, as far as that ones that did go into the Capitol, was only because Harris was there or Pence was there. And come find out, Harris wasn't there. That was actually a lie. And then they're still trying to determine if Pence was there. Because if Pence wasn't there, then technically they didn't break any laws, because that would be the only thing, which would be a national security threat, because of a vice president or incoming vice president is there. And but you won't hear anything about that because, it doesn't fit this rhetoric bull. You know what?
I disagree with some protesters, but they have a right to protest. I mean, you and I protested.
Right.
We got sneered at and
Fingers.
yeah, we got flipped off and all kinds of stuff. I mean,
said things too.
Yeah. I didn't go and cry about it and try to call the cops that they're mean to me. Oh my gosh. No, you just stand there, you support what you believe in, and you try to convince others to your side. I mean, that's American Life 101. A good protest. Now, it gets out of control. And in this case, maybe some factions, once they were let into the Capitol, they might have crossed. I mean, there's pictures of them staying within the ropes, like walking through, so eventually,
not making
obviously
a mess.
Some people did cross the ropes because there was Pelosi's laptop was allegedly stolen. So, I mean, there's some stuff that happened there. So I'm not saying that nothing bad happened on that day, but just because you were there protesting the election results.
But you mean the photo op that the police set up that people could take photos with them, and then one guy now has a tie back to the CIA that I noticed a story come out the other day. Yeah, the whole thing.
I mean, you just got to question it. I'm sure that there are some people that did some bad things that day. I'm not justifying that.
But
I'm sure
let's remember, Chuck Schumer calls Kavanaugh out and says there'll be a whirlwind if you're going to overturn Roe versus Wade, and the White House says, yeah, no, we encourage protesting in front of justices' houses, and then this guy shows up with his agenda, which is the exact agenda that he's being fed by the leftist.
Like literally, Schumer said
exactly, and he's
you'll
there.
face the whirlwind, and he says it.
Yes,
like a movie villain.
Yeah, I will find out how to do that over the weekend. I'll find out how to play that. And honestly, if I have to take a freaking video with my phone and it looks just to show people what we're talking about, and then also Jen Psaki, like, oh no, they keep saying encouraging, peaceful protests, but it's like,
well, that's the same thing.
Outside of their homes, do it outside of. Well, exactly.
Well, Trump said, hey, let's show up and tell them.
Right.
I don't know. It's just.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? But that's not the case.
There's
anymore.
Hypocrisy abound
Everywhere. Yeah.
I just can't believe that the Michigan governor, I go back to 2.5 years ago, not allowing your citizens to buy seeds to plant their own gardens while her husband's out boating on their vacation home that she didn't, she tried to stop or made it illegal or whatever the ruling was. That
rules for thee, not for me.
Now, there was a time in this country when people would be like, oh, okay, well, see you later, Bubba. I'm not following your rules either if you're not.
Yeah, that's back
The second you see the president without a mask on during the mask times that they were trying to apply, it should be like, well, he's not doing it, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but that's back when this country had kahunas, which apparently most of the people don't anymore. But
I'm just saying,
I know. So I found this story. I kind of heard about it like a couple days ago, and then I saw it again, and I'm like, wait, this is real? So this is kind of like the funny story of the day, but it's a real story. So the headline is insurance company is offered to pay a woman ordered. Sorry.
Not offered.
I'm going to work on reading this weekend, apparently.
Well, there's a big difference between offering and being ordered to do something. So.
Yes. Maybe you should start reading these things. So ordered to pay a woman $5.2 million after claim that she caught an STD from a male partner during sex in the back of his car. How in the hell?
That's so they could raise our insurance rates this year.
So you wonder why your insurance is so expensive and everything else. And let's keep in mind that some judge somewhere made this order like a real thing. So you want to talk about reform and some issues in this country? This judge, in my opinion, shouldn't be on the bench because this woman got an STD in the back of a car, so I can sue the mattress company if I get an STD from someone on a mattress or
your homeowner's insurance.
Right, I can go after my homeowners and be like, I was.
This will justify our rates all going up to make it to where we can't afford our houses and cars. I mean,
But and this is
call me a conspiracy theorist, but if you're going to start doing things like this, because this is now called a precedent, right? So now he has set a precedent, unless it's overturned, which I'm sure the insurance company is going to.
Yeah, but how much money did they spend to? Because they're all risk analysis. So, like, if you're old and need a kidney, you're screwed because it's based on risk. And well, you're 80, so you're going to live maybe a couple of years more. So that's how. Like, they don't.
That's your take on it? 80, a couple of years.
No. That's the insurance company's take on it. You are nothing but a number, and it's a risk assessment. And you can ask anyone who does insurance. That is all it is. They will put in your information. Oh, he smoked, and he did this, and he did this, and he did this, and he's 80 years old, and he needs a kidney, but I could give this kidney to someone that's 50. And no, we're not going to do that. I'm telling you right now, that is how insurance companies work. It's pathetic, and I don't agree with it, but I'm saying that's how it works. But so,
but my point was, I see what you're saying there. My point was, now that they've paid this,
yeah, your insurance is going to go up.
Your insurance is going to go up, which, like you said, if you can say it because you're in a car, and I haven't read the article, so I don't know all the, how they could relate it to the car, unless the car it was a rental car, and you know what I mean? But that sounds like, the old Seinfeld story, the girl got gonorrhea from a tractor, whatever, right? You can't do that.
You know what? Let's just do it this way, Steve. Let me try to read again. Insurance company, Geico, so now the lizard will probably be out of a job, has been ordered to fork over $5.2 million. A Missouri woman, on the heels of her claim that she caught an STD for having sex with a male partner in his car, which was insured by Geico. A Missouri court on Tuesday upheld the judge's awarding of the money to the woman, referring to as MO and court documents, so her name must be withheld, whatever, who claimed that she caught human papillomavirus. What is that?
Is that the HPV?
HPV.
Genital warts.
Okay. After having sex in 2017 with a male partner in his 2014 Hyundai Genesis, the car is important to know. The woman learned in 2018 she had HPV and claimed that the man also knew he had it, but failed to tell her, leaving her with the past and future medical expenses and mental and physical pain and suffering. She told CBS News. The woman told Geico that she was pursuing legal action against the man, claiming that she was negligently infected in the vehicle, that the car insurance policy should provide coverage for her injuries and losses, the network reported. Wow.
Yeah, so basically that's setting a precedent because your homeowner's insurance has similar clauses.
That's crazy. So, once again...
So it was upheld, so that means it was...
Yeah, so they must have tried to appeal it, and then, Geico denied the coverage, obviously, and rejected her claim, and with that, the woman and the man entered arbitration. The arbitration found the man neglectfully infected her and ordered her $5.2 million to be paid by Geico. Okay, I'm fine with her suing for $5.2 million. The guy that gave it to her, what's that got to do with Geico? Like, once again, no personal responsibility for anything. Now, if you get an STD, just remember this, folks. If you're out there and you get an STD and you can point to who gave it to you, if you're in a car, you can sue their insurance company. And now there's precedent in this case that could go forward with other cases that, we need to pay you money.
Well, that's just going to make all of our insurance rates go up. So you can't afford car insurance, you can't afford a homeowner's insurance, and then you'll be right back to the government teat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a slippery slope argument. But seriously, though, if these cases are going to go forward, then it's going to drive up insurance rates.
Yeah, and the judge said that Geico had no legal grounds to appeal on 7 points, the network said. And while Geico claimed it was denied the right to litigate its interest before judgment was entered against its insured, CBS reported that the judge said Geico had a chance to do so when the woman contacted the insurance company claiming that should cover her interest. So you can imagine that. So the judge is saying, well, you had an opportunity when they called you. But obviously, if someone called you and said, well, I'm going to sue Tim and Steve today because they said the weather was nice out and it wasn't. Well, you had an opportunity to address that when she called you to complain about it. Like, are you freaking kidding me? What the hell? Like, and trust me, I do not like insurance companies. I'm getting screwed by one right now. So I have no love lost for insurance. Like, I could care less. But the precedent here is no personal responsibility for someone that got an STD from someone that person should be held, accountable, sure. But hello,
I don't
I'm
know.
going to blame the car?
It's a risk that you take, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, but if you knowingly know about it, just like, there's law, there's like if you have
Not
HIV.
in California. They had that repealed.
Did they? Yeah.
So you don't have to tell anyone that you have HIV in California.
That's why everyone loves California.
Yeah. You should look that guy up who sponsored that bill because he's a weirdo wackadoo from my point of view.
Yeah. All right, so let's end the show with a positive meme of the day, positive quote. It says, say goodbye to the past. It is time to move on and be happy. Amazing things are on their way. And so I want to make sure we end the show with a positive meme every day. Because it's so true. If you are already focused on the past, you'll never get past the past. But if you focus on making today better and going forward and trying to make your life better, it can happen. It will happen
Well, it
for
kind
you.
of contradicts what I said earlier for about 10 minutes about knowing your past and based on our past.
Well, that's learning. This is the difference between being stuck in it.
Being stuck in regret and
Right.
torturing yourself because you made a bad decision.
Exactly. You have to just move on. You have to keep going.
Build resilience.
Yeah.
Coping mechanisms.
Absolutely. All right, guys.
That's a good quote to end on then.
It is a
Be
good
resilient, folks.
So, Maddox Lovely, Kyle Ashley, good luck this weekend or tomorrow. Hopefully we'll maybe talk some good news about that on Monday's show. And seriously, good luck to you guys. And you make Newport very proud. And we're proud of you guys, that's for sure. Enjoy the weather. It's supposed to be nice this weekend. Get out.
It's like the next 5 or 6 days supposed to be 50s to high 70s. Maybe it touches 80 one day.
Nice. So it'll be kind of a decent do stuff outside weather.
Yeah.
That's good.
Get the rest of my yard mowed.
I see that. It's about time.
As well as the fence.
The fence in the garden,
As
Steve.
well
That's
as-
your priority.
And that one other thing that we got to look at. Call you out on there. This is what you do to people. When are we going to look at that pipe?
When are you going to start that business?
Touche.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.